Imagine this. You open your trading app. The charts look normal. The news seems calm. And yet, in the background, something sinister is already in motion. A game is being played, not on your screen, but inside your own mind. It's invisible, silent, relentless. And by the time you realize it's happening, it's already too late. This is the most dangerous scam in trading. A scam not built on fake brokers, not on market manipulation, but on something far deadlier: your psychology. Every great scam has one thing in common. It hides in plain sight. In the world of trading, scams aren't just shady websites or fake signals. The most dangerous scam is subtle. It doesn't knock on your door. It whispers inside your thoughts. It convinces you that you're in control when in reality, you're being played. Today, we'll uncover how this scam works, why it has ruined countless traders, and most importantly, how you can break free before it consumes you. Before we dive deeper into the psychological thriller, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Here, we don't just talk charts, we decode the hidden psychology of trading. And trust me, what you're about to discover will change the way you look at the markets forever. The story of every trader begins with hope. The charts look like a puzzle waiting to be solved. The candles rise and fall like a heartbeat, and you tell yourself, if I can just figure out the rhythm, I can win. But what if I told you the game you think you're playing is not the real game at all? The market doesn't scam you the way a thief steals your wallet. No, the most dangerous scam doesn't come from outside. It begins within. It hides inside the very emotions that push you to open a trade. And like a skilled illusionist, it distracts you with the promise of money while silently preparing your downfall. Think about your first winning trade. That sudden rush of adrenaline when the numbers went green. That feeling wasn't just joy. It was the bait. The scam had begun. Because in that moment, your brain created a connection. Trading equals reward. But what your brain didn't tell you is that this reward is random, unpredictable, and deeply addictive. This is the invisible trap. It doesn't look like a scam. It looks like opportunity. It feels like freedom. But in reality, it's a psychological hook that has captured thousands of traders before you. The more you chase it, the deeper you sink. The trap doesn't arrive all at once. It begins with whispers. Double the lot size. This setup looks perfect. You can recover yesterday's loss if you take this trade. The market is giving you a second chance. Don't miss it. These thoughts feel like your own, but in truth, they're the scam speaking through your greed. The market is silent, but your mind becomes the loudest liar. Every scam needs a bait, and in trading, the bait is certainty. That illusion that you finally cracked the code, that this time you know what will happen. But certainty in trading is a mirage. By the time you reach for it, it's gone, and all that's left is loss. Picture this. A trader sits alone at night, staring at a screen. The world outside is quiet, but his heartbeat is racing. He sees a candle breaking out of resistance, and his mind screams, "This is it, the big win." He enters. The market rises. For a moment, he feels invincible. But suddenly, without warning, the candle reverses. The market falls faster than it climbed. His stop loss? He didn't place one, because greed had whispered, "Don't worry, this will work." Within minutes, his profit turns to loss. His mind races. "I can't accept this. I'll take another trade and recover everything." And just like that, the trap is closed. The scam wasn't in the broker, the chart, or the news. The scam was in the thought that he could control what was never in his control. The most dangerous scams are not those that take your money once. They're the ones that convince you to give it away again and again until there's nothing left. And this is why the invisible trap is so deadly, because it doesn't feel like theft. It feels like choice. You choose to enter again. You choose to risk more. You choose to ignore your plan. And each choice tightens a noose. You see, scammers in the outside world trick you with fake promises. But the inner scammer, your own psychology, tricks you with your deepest desires. The desire to be right. The desire to win. The desire to escape pain. This is why traders don't quit after one loss. They keep coming back, because the scam doesn't let them see the truth. It whispers, You're one step away from success. Just try again. But success never comes this way. Only destruction. If you were watching this unfold in a movie, the scene would look simple. A man at a desk, a glowing screen, a few clicks. But behind this simple image is a war, one that millions of traders lose every day. Because the invisible trap is not about markets. It's about manipulation. And the manipulator lives inside your own head. That's why it's the most dangerous scam in trading. It doesn't need an enemy. It doesn't need a hacker. It doesn't need a fraudster on the other side of the screen. All it needs is you, and the more confident you are, the easier it becomes. Here lies the paradox. The smarter you think you are, the deeper the scam pulls you in, because intelligence without discipline becomes arrogance. And arrogance is the perfect bait. The invisible trap knows this. It waits patiently for you to overestimate your skills, to believe that this time you're different, that the rules don't apply to you. That's when it strikes. Not once, not twice, but over and over until you're drained, not just of money, but of confidence, clarity, and sometimes even hope. Every scam needs silence to work. The silence where doubt hides. The silence where greed grows. And that silence is the perfect place for your downfall. And so the question is not, will you face a scam? The question is, will you recognize it before it's too late? The invisible trap begins with whispers, but once you've taken the bait, it builds a prison. Not a prison of steel bars, not a prison with guards or locks. No, this prison is far more sinister. It's built inside your mind. You can't see the walls, but you feel them closing in with every trade. And the cruelest part? You hold the key, but you never use it. At first, you believe you're in control. You think you're the one choosing when to trade, how much to risk, when to stop. But slowly, the roles reverse. The scam doesn't just take your money, it takes your freedom. Imagine this. You swear you'll trade only once today. You promise yourself discipline. But after your first loss, something shifts. Anger burns in your chest. The voice returns. Don't stop now. Recover it. You can't walk away like this. So you open another trade, and another, and another. Each one feels like a chance to break free, but with every attempt, the walls close tighter. This is the psychological prison. The bars are made of fear. The locks are made of greed. And the guards are your own emotions. Once you're inside, escape feels impossible. Every prison has rules, and this one is no different. The first rule is revenge trading. You lose once, and the scam whispers, "Get it back right now." You obey. The second rule is overconfidence. You win once, and it whispers, "Double the risk. You're unstoppable." You obey again. And the third rule, the deadliest of all, is denial. Even when the losses pile up, the scam convinces you it's not your fault. The broker was unfair. The news was manipulated. The market was rigged. Anything but the truth. That's how the prison keeps you locked inside. Because as long as you blame the outside world, you'll never see that the real enemy lives within. If this were a movie, you'd see a man pacing inside a cell. But the cell doesn't exist in reality. It exists only in his mind. He has the power to step outside at any moment, but he won't, because he doesn't believe he's a prisoner. That's the genius of the scam. It doesn't need chains. It only needs your belief. Let's go deeper. The psychological prison feeds on hope. After every loss, it whispers, "The next one will be different. The big win is just ahead." Hope becomes a drug that keeps you trading long after logic tells you to stop. But hope is not your friend here. Hope is the bait that keeps you running in circles, chasing something that may never come. And while hope fuels the prison, fear cements it shut. Fear of missing out. Fear of being wrong. Fear of walking away and seeing the market move without you. These fears are invisible shackles. You don't feel them until you try to resist, and by then it's too late. Have you ever noticed how time feels different when you're trapped in a bad trade? Minutes stretch into hours. Your heart pounds. Your palms sweat. You stare at the screen as if staring harder could change the outcome. That's the prison tightening its grip, because in those moments, you're no longer a trader. You're a hostage. And the ransom? Your emotional stability. The psychological prison doesn't just cost you money, it robs you of clarity. Once inside, you can no longer see the market for what it is. Every chart looks like a trap. Every move feels personal. Every candle becomes a test of your worth as a human being. You forget that trading is numbers, probabilities, risk management. Instead, it becomes about ego, about pride, about proving yourself. That's when the prison completes its work. Because once your identity is tied to your trades, losing doesn't just hurt your account, it hurts your soul. The worst part? Most traders don't even know they're prisoners. They sit at their desks, convinced they're free, while the scam quietly controls every thought, every click, every trade. They post their success stories online, hiding the wreckage behind the screen. They talk about freedom, independence, financial power, but in truth, they are captives of a prison they cannot see. And this is why so many traders disappear silently. Not because they lacked intelligence, not because they lacked strategy, but because they never realized the walls were closing in until it was too late. If you listen carefully, you can almost hear the echo inside this prison. The same words repeated endlessly. Just one more trade. This time it will work. I can't stop now. These aren't decisions. They're confessions. Confessions of a prisoner begging for escape, but unable to walk away. And here lies the paradox. The market doesn't build this prison. You do, with every impulsive trade, with every ignored stop-loss, with every time you chose greed over discipline. You built the walls. You locked the doors. You threw away the key. And yet, the key is still there, waiting for you to pick it up. But until you see the truth, the scam will keep you trapped. You will keep pacing in circles, fighting an enemy that doesn't exist, while the real enemy, the enemy within, tightens its grip. This is not just trading. This is psychological warfare. And most who enter never leave. The prison claims them all. Quietly, invisibly, permanently. Every prison has an exit. Every trap has a weakness. And even the scam, the most dangerous one in trading, can be broken. But here's the truth no one tells you. The enemy is not the market. The enemy is not scammers on the internet. The enemy is not even bad luck. The enemy is you. And if you want freedom, you must learn to fight yourself. The spell begins to break the moment you see it for what it is. For the first time, you step back and admit, it's not the broker. It's not the news. It's me, my greed, my fear, my lack of discipline. This realization is terrifying. It feels like standing in front of a mirror and seeing not your reflection, but your shadow, the darker part of you that thrives in chaos, that craves risk, that hungers for the thrill of the market. But once you see the shadow, you can no longer ignore it. That's the first crack in the spell. The second step is discipline as a weapon. Discipline in trading is not boring. It's not restrictive. It's the sword that cuts through the lies your emotions whisper. When you set a stop loss, you're not limiting your profit. You're protecting your freedom. When you risk only 1% per trade, you're not being weak. You're building armor. When you follow a written plan, you're not being rigid. You're carrying a map to the battlefield. Think of every rule as a weapon in your arsenal. Because in this war, your mind will try to betray you. And when it does, only discipline can keep you alive. The third step is journaling. Turning evidence against yourself. In every crime story, the truth is revealed through evidence. The scam leaves fingerprints. In trading, those fingerprints are your trades. Write them down. Every entry, every exit, every emotion. Be honest, brutally honest. When you look back, you'll see the patterns. The moments where greed overpowered logic. The moments where fear chained you down. This journal is more than paper. It's the mirror that shows you the truth when your mind tries to lie. The fourth step is detachment. The market is not your friend. It's not your enemy. It's not a test of your worth as a person. It doesn't care about you. And that's your power. The moment you stop tying your identity to wins and losses, the prison loses its grip. A loss is no longer a wound. It's just data. A win is no longer a trophy. It's just probability. Detach yourself from the outcome. And suddenly, The scam has nothing left to feed on. But perhaps the most powerful step, the final step, is learning to walk away. The spell is strongest when you can't stop, when your hands tremble to place just one more trade. That's when the scam is laughing at you, tightening its chains. Walking away is the rebellion, the refusal, the act that breaks the cycle. The greatest traders in history are not those who always win. They are those who know when to stop, to shut down the screen, to breathe, to live outside the charts. Because the truth is, the market will always be there tomorrow, but your sanity won't if you lose it today. Now imagine this in a scene. A trader sits in the same chair he once felt trapped in. The same screen glows in front of him. The same market moves as unpredictably as ever. But this time, he's different. He sets his risk before he enters. He places his stop-loss with precision. He follows his plan like a soldier following orders. The scam whispers again. Increase the size, skip the stop-loss, double down. But now he smiles. He's heard this voice before. He knows what it is, and he refuses. For the first time, the prisoner walks out of the cell, not because the prison disappeared, but because he finally chose to leave. This is how the spell is broken. Not by luck, not by signals, not by chasing a secret strategy, but by mastering the mind that once betrayed you. And here lies the final paradox. The scam never truly disappears. It waits in the shadows. It watches for weakness. It waits for arrogance to return. But now you know its face. Now you know its voice. And knowing is power, because the market doesn't destroy traders. The scam inside their own psychology does. And once you've broken the spell, you are no longer the victim. You are no longer the prisoner. You are the master. So the next time you sit in front of the screen, remember this. The most dangerous scam is not out there. It's in here. And the only way to win is to conquer yourself.